How y'all doing today? In today's video, we're going to talk about an emergency fund, what an emergency fund is, and also why you should have one. So giving y'all the basic definition off of Investopedia, what is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is money set aside to cover unexpected expenses. Setting up an emergency fund provides you with a financial safety net whenever you come across unforeseen circumstances, including day-to-day expenses after a job loss or unexpected medical bills, among other things. So we've all been here before. We wake up in the morning, car won't crank. It costs $500 to get it fixed. Or we out of work for a week because we sick. Now we done missed a week's worth of pay. Life is gonna life. We can't do anything about that. But every time something happens, we don't want to have it where we have to go ask a family member or we have to take out a loan. We want to get to a point where when things happen, it's okay. Not it's okay in the fact that bad things are happening, but it's okay because we have money saved in our emergency fund that we can afford to pay them. So now we know what an emergency fund is. How much money should we keep in ours? And just reading off Investopedia, however, most experts suggest keeping 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings to help you when you need it. And that's pretty standard. That's the one I see the most, 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. I've also seen it where some people say keep 6 months to a year of expenses. And I've also seen it where a person has said keep a year's worth of income. But like I said, the one I see the most is 3 to 6 months of expenses. So let's say your monthly expenses, your bills, your food, groceries, all that add up to 3,000 every month. You're gonna take 3,000, multiply that by 3, take 3,000, multiply that by 6. You should have $9,000 to $18,000 in your emergency fund. Let's say your monthly expenses is 4,000. Take 4,000, multiply that by 3, take 4,000, multiply that by 6. You should have 12,000, 24,000 in your emergency fund. And if you haven't watched my last video where I was talking about tracking your expenses, please go watch that video because that helps you know your monthly expense number. If you don't know that, how much you gonna know to put in your emergency fund? And also, if you don't have any money saved right now for an emergency fund, it's okay. Let's start with a baby one. Because like I said, life is gonna life. We can't do anything about that. But what we don't want is for every time something to happen, we keep drowning. We keep having to ask people. We keep having to go deeper into debt. So if we don't have any money saved right now for an emergency fund, or at least a fully funded one, let's start with a baby one. Can we get to where we have 500 saved? Can we get to where we have 1,000 saved? Because like I said, we want to eventually get above that water. We don't want to keep drowning forever. So now we know what an emergency fund is. We know how much we should have in our emergency fund. Where should we keep our emergency fund? And I'm going to just keep the answer pretty simple. Just have it somewhere where you can get quick access to it. Because it's an emergency. We need that money right now. We don't want to have it where we have to wait 3 days to pull it out in an account or something. Have it where you can get access to it really fast. Where you keep it in cash or you keep it in a savings account. Preferably high yield savings because then that money's growing a little bit. So just keep it somewhere where you can get access to it really quickly. It's an emergency. And the last part I'm going to talk about with this video is paying down debt or building your emergency fund. And my suggestion is to do both. And what I mean by that is, like I said, if you don't have any money saved right now, at least get you a starter emergency fund saved. Because when something happens, you're prepared a little bit now. We might not have a fully funded emergency fund, but at least we got 1,000 saved where we can take a hit or two. And if you've ever heard of Dave Ramsey, he has the 7 baby steps to financial freedom. I like the first half of his baby steps, and I'm gonna show you what I mean by that. So he got 7 steps. Save 1,000 for your starter emergency fund. Step 2, pay off all debt except the house using a debt snowball. Step 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. I like the first half. I think those could work for anybody, but the second half seemed more catered to the older generation. Invest 15% of your household income in retirement. Save for your children's college fund. Pay off your home early. Me personally, I don't have kids yet, and I don't have a home yet. So like I said, the first half can work for anybody, but the second half seems catered to the older generation. And as you can see with his, start out, save 1,000 for your starter emergency fund. And then he says pay off all your debt. And then save 3 to 6 months of expenses with a fully funded emergency fund. It might be where you get you a starter and then after your extras with your paycheck, you do a little bit of both. You put a little bit towards debt, you put a little bit towards your emergency fund. I like the first three, but like I said, personal finance is personal, so you might want to figure out what works for you. And today we talked about the emergency fund, what an emergency fund is, how much you should have in there, where should you keep it, and also how does debt work with an emergency fund. Appreciate y'all for watching. If you have any questions or anything, please reach out to me. Y'all stay blessed.